proficient academic writing, where we discuss about anything and everything concerning academic writing. Kindly join the family by subscribing and hitting the bell button so that you can be notified whenever we post a new video. Okay, today, this is the first video. We are going to start with understanding what is academic writing, so that whenever we are proceeding, we can all be in the same boat and understanding from the same level. Okay, so academic writing is defined. I'll give you the simplest definition, which is a formal written work produced in an academic setting. It's any kind of a paper that is produced in academic setting. For instance, a literary analysis or a research paper, a term paper. Those are the academic papers. They are usually provided by clients who goes to the academic writing accounts companies, so that they can produce so that the writers can write on their behalf. So which are these academic writing papers? We already said, for instance, there are theses which are produced by the master's students, dissertation produced by the PhD students who are completing their PhD program. There are also the other research papers for the degree programs, assignments, you see, such like. So there are several characteristics that you need to understand in academic writing. Academic writing is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be concise, simple, and easy to understand. There's usually the client provides a topic which they need you to discuss or to tackle. In this case, you need to provide a thesis statement that you will build your paper around. Yeah? So in this case, it has to be simple. You don't need to use like big terms. You don't need to use difficult terms. You just need to use simple, concise, easy to understand. Like anyone who reads it can easily flow with the paper and understand it. Another thing is that it is logical. It usually have a logical structure. It is not just writing, like just speak. We are talking about for instance, an underdeveloped country. No, you just speak anything from here, from there, and then you put them together. No, you need to have a logical structure of writing this paper. Usually, you write papers starting with introduction. You need to start with the introduction, where you give the writer the overview of the paper, giving them a background of what the paper is about, before going to the body, where you discuss the points in depth. So, and then you finish with the conclusion, where you give the overall, you restate everything you talked about in a simple term. It's like summarizing. So you summarize all the major points that you talked about in the entire paper, from the introduction to the end in the conclusion. Okay, that is the logic structure of an academic paper. It has to have an introduction, body, and conclusion. So there's another characteristics, which is evidence-based. It is always evidence-based. It's not from head. You don't just write what you think. It's not like you just come up with your information and write. No, you need to have an evidence. Like you need to provide source from where you got your information. For instance, if I read somewhere, I was writing like Kenya is the poorest country in Africa, I need to provide reference. If the writer need to see that paper, need to confirm that, I need to provide that reference by citing it in that statement. Like for instance, Purity 2010. You see, so if they want to get that information, they can always go back to that paper and read it and confirm that whatever you said, it was true, because it has backed up by evidence. The last characteristics is that academic writing has impersonal tone. You don't just use personal attitude, personal tone, like you give your own opinion. No, you don't. You're always neutral. You write from an expert point of view. So you don't need to say to be objective. No, you don't need to be subjective, but always be objective, not be biased. Avoid being biased in an academic paper. So, and then the last thing I would like us to start with today, before we officially start tackling different parts of academic writing, and before you start telling me whatever you would like me to tackle, it's the various common mistakes that every writer, every academic writer, or any person who would wish to be an academic writer and write proficiently should avoid. One, they should avoid wordiness. Wordiness, when you're describing something, do not over describe it, do not overwrite. So like, for instance, the person who came to buy a book was a tall, dark, and handsome man. You don't need to say like he was clothed, he did this, he did that, he did that. Like, or wordiness makes the paper to become, what do we say, to be a bit boring and make the customer lose interest. So make your paper short, make your paper direct with the point, so that someone can get the point easily without having to read and overread in the paper. Another thing is avoid being vague or missing the thesis statement. As I said, a thesis statement is a statement where you are supposed to build your argument. For instance, when you're writing about a thesis statement, when you're writing about poverty in Africa, you can always say, when a thesis, you can, for instance, an example of a thesis statement is saying that Kenya is considered the most, poverty is the most leading cause of underdevelopment in Africa. That is a statement that anyone can come and say, no, I do not agree with you, or yes, I agree with you. And this statement is a statement which is arguable. It can have the either side. Someone can come with their own proof and say, no, I do not agree with you that poverty is the cause of underdevelopment, because, for instance, there is poverty in America, for instance. So always this statement comes after the introduction. Whenever you introduce in your introduction paragraph, after you've given an entire background of the paper, you end it with a thesis statement. This is now the part that the entire paper will revolve around. Okay, so if you say Africa is underdeveloped because of poverty, you will spend your time researching and writing the body to confirm, to prove that poverty is indeed the cause of underdevelopment. Okay, I hope you've understood that. Okay, another mistake that academic writers should avoid is using informal language. As we stated, academic writing is formal. It always uses formal language and style. So do not use idioms, like use conversational tones or slangs. No, you need to use the actual, the formal wording. Kindly pardon me for the noise. There is some construction going on the building. So, and another thing is, the last mistake any academic writer can do and can cost it almost a life, it's not citing your paper. Failing to cite your paper, it's a crime in academic writing. As I said, you always write a paper with evidence. So whenever you do not cite your paper, it means that those are your own words, those are all your own opinion, you own them, which can translate to being plagiarized, because you're stealing someone's information, coming to put it in your own words, yes, but you did not cite it. When you cite the paper, you recognize and acknowledge that truly this is what I wrote, but it's not my words, it's this person's words. So that is the meaning of citing. You provide evidence, you provide the source where you got that paper from. Okay, I hope this was helpful to you as a writer or an aspiring writer. Kindly subscribe for more information and more educative topics about academic writing. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, give a thumbs up, share, and give us a comment on what you would like us to talk about, or anything that you may not have understood from our introduction. Furthermore, this was just an introduction to welcome you to our channel and be part of the family. Cheers.